Do not set up your trust as the beneficiary of the IRA. Why? Because we don't want to eliminate the three different ways that your spouse can inherit that money. Hi, friends. This is Colin Richards, founder of Lord and Richards, and I am excited to be talking to you about one of the most important subjects we can possibly discuss regarding your money and your wealth, and that is the preservation of it from the invaders, the marauders who want to sack your financial house. And we've been talking about that over the last several episodes, and today we're focused in on avoiding the destruction of wealth during your life and at the end of life. We call this financial life planning, to avoid the things that would destroy your wealth. And it starts with getting certain documents in place, right? And a mindset of making sure we're not just thinking about end of life, but also during life, right? So the documents for end of life that are critical are your advanced healthcare directive, your financial and other powers of attorney, and you need a last will and testament. Although in our last episode, if you missed it, I would encourage you to listen in. Although we need one, it is just about your voice at probate court. And we want to avoid assets being tied up in probate court. There's delays, there's costs, it's very public and visible, and it's contestable, right? People can come in and challenge your wishes. You need one. You need a will. You need this in place. But what's better is to get some lines of defense that get your assets around probate and immediately into the places you want them to go. The first line of defense, and we'll probably only have time for this one, and then in our next episodes, we're going to deal with another critical document. But your first line of defense to avoid a will and probate is to title your accounts jointly, right? If you have your assets set up jointly, it's smooth, right? It just goes to the living joint owner if they're alive. Now you need to have some backups in place, right? And that's where some other documents come into play. But joint ownership, first line of defense, get around, get your vehicles, home, whatever it is that you can jointly title. Now there are some things that maybe are better to title transfer on death. A car, also a good one. That means it goes directly to that named individual, and you just need to fill out a simple form to do this. It may cost you a few bucks, but it's very simple, very easy. Transfer on death, right? So we call it TOD or POD. So joint account ownership, TOD. Now, what about your IRAs and 401ks? These have to be in your name. Think about the name individual retirement account. That's an individual. So your wife or your husband can't own that together with you. However, they should be set up as the beneficiary. Now, I'm just going to make a quick side note. Do not set up your trust as the beneficiary of the IRA. Why? Because we don't want to eliminate the three different ways that your spouse can inherit that money, right? The trust is just going to distribute that. We might not want that, right? And so we don't want to eliminate our options. So just put the beneficiaries whom you want. And you can be as complex, you can designate very fine percentages. But if it's done properly, it'll go straight to the beneficiaries. You don't worry about tax court, death court. You don't worry about probate and its costs. Life insurance. Now, whether you love it or hate it, life insurance is one of the best ever because everything goes to the beneficiaries tax-free. Isn't that amazing? So an IRA, right, they're going to have to pay taxes, and they can take it a variety of ways. And again, if you don't set it up properly, they're going to get tax hit, boom, all at once. But if you set up an IRA properly, they could take up to 10 years to take that money out and pay the taxes. But with life insurance, comes to them tax-free. It's an awesome asset category that most people miss out on because they just hate the concept of spending money on life insurance. But if I can take $1 and turn it into $2, $3, $4, $5, I love the concept of other people's money. And then finally, a trust. In a trust, you set up a document, and we're going to go into much greater detail in future segments, but you set up a document. This is our fourth document that directs where everything goes, and it bypasses once again the probate process. Now, there are some slippery slopes. We need to be careful. Trusts are an optional document, but I would consider them mandatory if you're really going to plan well. Because I called a trust an I love you document. It's an I love you document. And there are many kinds, and we're going to get into some of that in a future segment. But what a trust does is it organizes things very easily for those whom you leave behind. A will, again, costly process, time-consuming process. It's in the hair of your loved one, whomever you've appointed as executor. It's a pain, and most people would rather get out of it, honestly. Even though they love you, they just don't. Most of us are not walking around loaded with time. So a trust does the same things for anything that you properly title. Now, people are confused how to get things into the trust. They think of a trust as like a bucket and you dump things in it. No, the way you get things into a trust, the trust is not an investment, right? You can own an investment in a joint account. You can own it in a transfer on death. You can own it in an IRA. You can own an investment even in some types of life insurance. And an investment can be inside of a trust account. The trust simply needs to be the owner of the account. The trust needs to be the owner of the account, or at least the beneficiary of a non-IRA account. So what this means is it requires some time and effort. The good news is we do this for you to simplify your life at Lord & Richards. We will go through your various accounts and make sure all of them are changed that are appropriate, that needed to be listed as owned by the trust. And you say, well, I give up control. No, we're going to talk a lot about the differences of trusts, and some allow you to continue to have control and change your mind about things. And others, you lose control and you can't change your mind. Those two broad categories are called revocable, where you can change your mind and do things differently, and irrevocable, where you permanently remove money from your personal control, although you can still benefit from it. You say, why would I do that? Why would I have one of those kinds of trusts? An irrevocable, that sounds scary. I hate to make decisions I can't back out of. Well, there are a few very good financial reasons that some people, not everybody, might need an irrevocable. I would call that one optional, but I would say you need a trust, a revocable, at least if you love your loved ones. It provides organization, simplicity, and clarity, and above all, it bypasses death court. Okay, so we're going to talk in more detail in subsequent sessions, but for right now, I want you to get a hold of this. It's not just a state or end of life planning. It is all through your life planning to avoid the ravaging marauders and invaders that want to sack your wealth. You need these documents, and we can help you get them in place. It's very simple. It just starts with a phone call.